Without a great aspiration and a firm vow, one remains trapped in the cycle of birth and death for countless kalpas. Even if one engages in spiritual practice, it would be in vain. Generate a vast aspiration. I vow to liberate boundless beings. I vow to attain unsurpassable Buddhahood. As the King of Aspiration Prayers states, only when the realm of space ends, the realms of sentient beings end. The karma of sentient beings ends, and the afflictions of sentient beings end, will my vows end. Since space, beings, karma, and afflictions are endless, my vows will not end. Our minds won't die or cease. Even after attaining Buddhahood, one continues to benefit sentient beings spontaneously according to this vow. That's why the vow won't end. We should aspire to liberate all sentient beings and achieve supreme Buddhahood. Make a firm vow. The more one cultivates this vow, the more steadfast it becomes. Eventually, regardless of circumstances, it won't regress. Even if a wheel of molten iron whirls upon my head, never shall this pain cause my bodhicitta to decline. This reflects an unwavering aspiration. Without generating such an aspiration or making a firm vow, one remains in samsara for countless kalpas. Even if one practices a bit, it will be in vain. This is crucial, and we should be clear about it. The worldly blessings we pursue, such as wealth and success in this life or a rebirth in heaven, all share an irreparable flaw. They eventually come to an end. All virtuous actions produce results, but once the karma is exhausted, the result is over. Therefore, no matter how much effort one puts into worldly pursuits, it is futile because the motivation is to obtain something. For all samsaric virtuous actions, good causes bring good results. However, once the results arise, they come to an end. In contrast, the vow of bodhicitta is inexhaustible. Even after attaining Buddhahood, one continues to liberate beings spontaneously. Thus, it never ends. Its results never cease. After attaining Buddhahood, one won't regress. After becoming a Buddha, will Buddhahood disappear? While the other results vanish when the corresponding karma is exhausted, Buddhahood won't fade or cease. A Buddha liberates beings spontaneously without attachment. I feel the same way. Though we haven't reached Buddhahood, being a bodhisattva and guiding beings feels nice. After attaining Buddhahood, one manifests spontaneously according to circumstances, free from the 3 types of suffering. In the commentary to the 400 verses, there is an analogy. A foolish man diligently piles stones on a mountain peak, but in the end they all collapse in an instant. His efforts, though intense, are in vain. This reflects the nature of samsaric activities. At the end of a kalpa, Mount Sumeru collapses, all plants and trees on earth are burned, rivers and oceans dry up, and everything below the 3rd dhyana heaven vanishes into emptiness. Today, we industriously construct buildings, gardens, rivers, bridges, and roads. But within 100 years, almost all buildings will have withered away. For example, in Linya, how many buildings from a century ago remain? Almost none. How many objects from 100 years ago still exist? Almost none. Perhaps a few bronze Buddha statues remain. What about another 100 years later? I've heard that cement buildings last at most a century. Wooden houses may endure longer. Well-built wooden houses, if not burned, can stand for centuries. So what? They too will eventually vanish. Centuries pass swiftly in the blink of an eye. Master Sing An lived over 300 years ago, which feels like a distant past to us. He wrote this text 3 centuries ago, and he should remain present in this world. As a great master from China, he wouldn't leave here. He will come back through rebirth. As he said, I will return upon arriving there. These great beings don't speak falsely. Everything below the 3rd dhyana heaven vanishes into emptiness. Doesn't such immense destruction show that pursuing things within the 3 realms is futile? Striving to pursue what will eventually perish is not the way of the wise. If we generate vast and steadfast bodhicitta, we won't waste our efforts. Without the aspiration to attain Buddhahood and liberate beings, one only has a selfish motivation, chasing after things in samsara. But samsaric pursuits are pointless. The vow to guide beings to Buddhahood never perishes. Examine from various perspectives. Strictly speaking, if your motivation is lower than bodhicitta, then whatever virtuous action you perform tends to revolve around self-interest and becomes a cause of suffering. Even if you attain arhatship, you are just a self-liberator. Not to mention non-Buddhist practitioners whose practices and meditations are even more self-centered. Though arhats have eradicated the basic self, they are only self-liberators, napping in their own town of nirvana without the great Bodhisattva vows. Arhats enter what they regard as nirvana, but that state is not ultimate. After 10,000 kalpas, they have to leave there. Hence, even though the fruition of arhatship eventually comes to an end. After 10,000 kalpas, they have to emerge from that nirvana, restart, and generate bodhicitta to benefit beings. Therefore, without bodhicitta, everything becomes a cause of suffering. Through kalpas as numerous as atoms, we have been reborn over and over again in samsara, sometimes in higher realms, sometimes in lower ones, yet we are still beings bound by suffering. The Buddhas have attained Buddhahood. Whether Buddha Shakyamuni, Kashyapa, Maitreya, Avalokiteshvara, or accomplished masters, they are free from suffering. Even when liberating beings, they don't experience suffering as they are free from it. Though they may appear to suffer or age, they don't feel pain. While aging, ordinary beings suffer, but enlightened beings don't. Though they may experience some physical discomfort, is not a problem for them. When generating bodhicitta to benefit beings, all hardship, fatigue, and other experiences are just part of the process. Bodhisattvas don't regard aging as aging, sickness as sickness, or suffering as suffering. Their sole focus is benefiting sentient beings. They don't pursue anything for themselves, so they are naturally free from suffering. Therefore, please gradually overcome your habitual tendencies. Seeking is also a habit. When you cannot obtain what you seek, you suffer. With bodhicitta, one does not seek. It is a vow to liberate beings, fundamentally different from worldly pursuits. Some people don't understand. They think bodhicitta means seeking Buddhahood, but there is no seeking involved. Without seeking, there is no attachment. Bodhicitta means benefiting sentient beings spontaneously according to conditions. We must generate this great vow which drives us to act in harmony with conditions. Without it, we cannot adapt to circumstances. The vow is our direction and compass, guiding us forward naturally according to circumstances. Therefore, Shantideva stated in The Way of the Bodhisattva, all joys in this world come through wishing happiness for others. All suffering in this world comes from seeking happiness for oneself. Is there a need for a lengthy explanation? Childish beings work for their own benefit. The Buddhas work for the benefit of others. Look at the difference between them. There is no need to elaborate on the difference between ordinary beings and Buddhas. Ordinary beings lack pure altruistic motivation. Of course, they also help others, but it is ultimately for their own benefit. Even when benefiting others, they still have an intention to benefit themselves. In contrast, the Buddha devotes himself entirely to benefiting others. He practices the 6 perfections and countless virtuous deeds, eventually attaining Buddhahood. After enlightenment, he continues to turn the wheel of Dharma to liberate all beings spontaneously. Mahayana Buddhas and Bodhisattvas serve sentient beings and teach the Dharma to free beings from suffering, help them transcend birth, aging, sickness, and death, and lead them to true liberation and bliss. All these activities are accomplished through generating supreme bodhicitta. Whether for personal benefit or the welfare of others, we can only accomplish the twofold perfect qualities through generating bodhicitta. Perfect self-benefit and altruism both require bodhicitta. Hence, the Flower Adornment Sutra says, forgetting the body-mind and engaging in various virtuous actions is called the activity of the Mara. If forgetting the body-mind leads to such consequences, how much more so for one who has never aroused it? Therefore, if one wishes to learn the Tathagata vehicle, one must first give rise to the body-mind without delay. For some beginners, the seed of bodhicitta may sprout when they cultivate it, but when their practice stops, their bodhicitta fades, and they fall back into the samsaric mind. This is because, for countless kalpas, we have operated with the samsaric mind. Once we stop practicing the Dharma, the samsaric mind resurfaces and takes over. The moment you forget bodhicitta, the previous samsaric or hinayana mindset returns. As a result, whatever virtuous action you do becomes a demonic activity. Demons obstruct us. There are inner and outer demons. Inner demons refer to our karmic obstacles, afflictive obscurations, and cognitive obscurations. The demon king is self-grasping and self-view. The demon queen is self-cherishing, the mind that cherishes oneself. Self-grasping sustains the demon king without interruption. These are the inner demons. All outer demons are attracted by inner demons. Outer demons do exist. They are sentient beings under demonic influence. When the demonic obstacles in one's mind resonate with an outer demon and one becomes fixated, the outer demon invades the mind and worsens the condition. Hence, inner and outer demons correspond to each other. So, don't be afraid of outer demons. As ordinary beings, we tend to fear them, thinking, "Oh no, the outer demons are coming. My karmic creditors are here to trouble me." In reality, it is your inner demons that cause the trouble. When external demons come, ignore them and don't be afraid of them. We should treat all external demons with compassion. We must be compassionate to outer demons as they are miserable beings. However, we must be ruthless to inner demons without the slightest tolerance or hesitation. Therefore, we must clearly distinguish between inner and outer demons and deal with them differently. Bodhisattvas may sometimes subdue external demons through wrathful means. They engage in 4 activities: pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, and subjugating, all grounded in great compassion. Only with great compassion can one practice subjugation. Hence, such actions are not driven by malice or hatred. Of course, we don't hate inner demons, but we show no mercy to them. What does this mean? We cherish and cling to ourselves deeply. Ordinary beings have the strongest attachment to themselves. Therefore, we must be merciless to inner demons and not allow them to grow. Bodhisattva's 4 activities, pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, and subjugating, are all based on great compassion. Many individuals, lacking great compassion and bodhicitta, practice the Dharma superficially. For example, someone tells me, "I want to practice the 5 preliminaries." I reply, "You haven't cultivated bodhicitta. Though you've planted a seed, it hasn't sprouted. Not even a leaf has grown. Hence, you won't accomplish the 5 preliminary practices." We should not only plant the seed of bodhicitta, but also nurture it well, making it a genuine seed of bodhicitta. To be honest, sometimes our seeds are not genuine or fully developed. If the seed hasn't even grown well, how can we expect it to sprout? At this stage, it is only an intermediate, illusory bodhicitta. It is contrived and imitative, but we should still generate it. In the beginning, our bodhicitta is imitative and contrived, not genuine or spontaneous. We must take time to make our bodhicitta more and more natural and genuine. Even nurturing the seed of bodhicitta well is not easy. Hence, we must first generate the aspiration. When that aspiration becomes firm, the seed ripens. Then it sprouts. At the sprouting stage, one begins to practice, that is, cultivating bodhicitta in action. At that point, one can earnestly practice the 5 preliminaries as they help strengthen and refine bodhicitta. If you don't even have bodhicitta, how can you enhance it? One must first possess bodhicitta, and it must be genuine before strengthening it. If it is tainted by poisons or impurities, such as the desire for fame or gain, the result will be impure. Therefore, to learn the Tathagata vehicle, one must first generate bodhicitta without delay. Generating bodhicitta is urgent because it is the first step. Please keep its urgency in mind. Since we cannot postpone it, we should set aside other activities and focus on cultivating it until it becomes stable. All Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and accomplished masters of the past, present, and future throughout the 10 directions engage in various Mahayana practices on the foundation of bodhicitta. Hence, we should first cultivate bodhicitta, making it gradually grow, strengthen, and perfect. If one forgets bodhicitta, none of their virtuous actions can be a provision for enlightenment. Instead, such actions become demonic activity. What is demonic activity? Any action that obstructs the attainment of Buddhahood is demonic. Without bodhicitta, all actions become an obstacle to the liberation of beings and the attainment of Buddhahood. They align with innate self-grasping, which is deeply rooted. Our innate awareness, root of virtue and root of wisdom, appreciate the teacher. They revere the teacher, wish to learn from them, and have faith. But self-grasping, self-cherishing, and self-importance don't like the teacher. They even feel jealousy or inferiority toward the teacher. We might think, the teacher destroys myself, so what's the point of living? The teacher specifically targets our self-grasping and self-importance, so they certainly don't like the teacher, right? Self-grasping and self-importance are the demon king, and the teacher teaches us to defeat the enemy, first capture their chief. The teacher instructs us to catch the demon king in our minds, never let it escape, and gradually wear it down. Since we cannot remove it instantly, we should eliminate it little by little, grinding it down. This is a process of spiritual practice, like grinding. Therefore, if one forgets bodhicitta, all virtuous actions become demonic activity. All right, we will continue tomorrow.